Morning, dear students. We'll continue the lesson Evans tries in O-level. Yesterday, we did the bit of revision and entered into the text, the beginning of the lesson, and little more instances that covered in the lesson were shared yesterday. So, yesterday we were on page number 73. And we came to know the little bit about the behavior of Evans, who is also known as in the lesson Evans the Brave. And the prison authorities have taken utmost care in preventing him from escaping and running. So, let me share the screen so that we can continue the lesson. Yes. I hope you can see the screen clearly. And we have completed this part where you see that Evans the break and Jackson and Stephens, they take care, they talk among themselves and make most out of the situation, not allow him by taking his razor and any other thing which could cause any damage, or he might use it to run away from the prison. So we finished page number 73, and somewhere, the last line, buried somewhere in Jackson was a tiny core of compassion, and Evans knew it. What does this mean, children? When this man Evans asked for the lucky charm, his cap, to be allowed to be worn by him, he got a chance to come to know once more that Jackson had a corner, a soft corner for him, and he will allow him. Does this one then Shirley Temple? If there was one thing that Jackson genuinely wrote about Vance, it was his long wavy hair. And he shouted, or in a commanding way said, and get shaving. At 8:45 the same morning, the Reverend Stuart McCleary left his bachelor flat in Broad Street and stepped out briskly towards Carfax. Now McCleary is also approaching towards the chambers where the exam is going to be conducted. The weatherman reported temperatures considerably below the normal for early June, and a long black overcoat and shallow-crowned clerical hat provided welcome protection from the steady drizzle which had set in half an hour earlier and which now spattered the thick lenses of his spectacles. In his right hand, he was carrying a small brown suitcase which contained all that he would need for his morning duties, including a sealed question paper envelope, a yellow investigation form, a special authentication card from the examinations board, a paper knife, a Bible. Now, these things he was carrying in his small pack, and a current copy of the Church Times. A small question can be framed based on these facts, little factual things, that what all were the things, describe the things that were being carried by McCleary in his, right? Let me remind you, dear students, this McCleary has been his friend who has come. Yesterday, when we were going through the summary, when we were sharing, when we were revising this lesson, we have come to know that this McCleary was his friend, one of his friend who has come, and the real McCleary has been gagged in his flat and was being, you can say, captivated there. Now, the 2-hour examination was scheduled to start at 9:15 a.m. Evans was lathering his face vigorously when Stephens brought in 2 small square tables and set them opposite each other in the narrow space between the bunk. Bunk means the bed on the one side, and on the other a distempered stone wall. So arrangements are being done by arranging the tables and the desk and the chair properly so that he can take his exam. Next, Stephens brought in two hard chairs, the slightly less battered of which he placed in front of the table. It stood nearer the cell door. Jackson put in a brief final appearance. Behave yourself, laddie. He appeared in the cell and instructed him to behave well. They are all the time worried about him that he may take any chance to escape. So they keep reminding him, keep commanding him. Evans turned and nodded. And these off. Jackson pointed to the pin-ups. Evans turned and nodded again. I was going to take them down anyway. A minister, isn't he? The chap coming to sit in, I mean. He's a minister coming from the place where he's coming from. And how did you know that? Asked Jackson quietly. How did you know that this minister is coming, or who is actually coming for invigilating? Well, I had to sign some forms, didn't I? And I couldn't help. Vance drew the razor carefully down his left cheek and left a neat swat in the white leather. Now he's making himself clean and tidy by shaving himself. And one more point we can note here, the way he answers. The clue is there that he knew who is coming. Still, the authorities like Jackson, the jail people, the prison people did not doubt him. Are they foolish, or they are relaxing, or they do not know how to tackle the prisoners? At many places we find that they could have done a lot more than what they had been doing. Right? So, can I ask you something, Mr. Jackson? And the conversation continues this way. Why did they have to bung me in this cell? He nodded his head vaguely to a point above the door. Not a very neat job, conceded Jackson. He affirmed, they are not. They don't honestly think I'm going to try to. So he's confirming that these authorities don't think that I'm going to try to escape. They are taking no chances, Evans. Nobody in his senses would take any chance with him. So nobody who is in his senses will take any chance with you. Who's going to listen in? I'll tell you who is going to listen in, laddie. It is the governor himself. Now he's taking out the secrets from him, and poor Jackson and Stephens, they keep on giving out the secrets without knowing that this will help him a lot in escaping. So he don't trust you a bloody inch, nor do I. I'll be watching you like a hawk, Evans. So keep your nose clear. He walked towards the door. Evans nodded. So governor himself is going to see and listen to you, right, through the system that we have installed, and I'll be watching you like a hawk from this peephole window. He walked towards the door. Evans nodded. Now he has come to know that how many people are watching him and what all they have planned. So this was very foolish on their part to reveal every secret of theirs that they had planned to keep this man under control. He walked towards the door. Evans nodded. He had already thought of that, and number 2 handkerchief was lying ready on the bunk, on the bed, a neatly folded square of white linen. A handkerchief was lying on the bed. Just one more thing, Einstein. Yeah, what's that? Good luck, old son. So the prison people are wishing him good luck, and they are talking to him as if he's their friend. So this is also a mistake on their part to make someone so close to them that he takes advantages out of that. In the little lodge just inside the prison main gates, Reverend McLeary, S. McLeary, signed his name neatly in the visitor's book. Thence walked side by side with the silent prison officer across the exercise yard to D-Wing. Now Mr. McLeary, Reverend McLeary, who has been called to invigilate, has come, and he has signed the papers at the entrance, and Wing's heavy outer door was unlocked. The door was unlocked, and the D wing, which was a guarded wing, now he entered and locked behind them, and again it was locked. The heavy inner door the same. And they did the same thing with the inner door, and McCleary was handed into Stephen's keeping. After that, Stephens took the charge. Get the razor, murmured Jackson. Stephens nodded. Well, keep your eyes skinned, clear. So the senior officer guided the junior officer. There are conversations between Jackson and Stephens also. One is commanding the other one. The senior one is commanding the junior one, that is Stephens. And McCleary, his feet clanging up the iron stairs, followed his new guide and finally stood before a cell door where Stephens opened the peephole and looked through. That's him, sir. And he is being introduced to his invigilator. That's what we revised just now, that the person who has come as McCleary is none other than his friend, which is revealed in the lesson little later on. Evans, facing the door, sat quietly at the farther of the two tables, his whole attention riveted to a textbook, elementary German grammar. He's pretending he's studying. Stephens took the key from its ring, and the cell lock sprang back with a thudded metallic twang. There was a loud noise and a twang noise, and then the door was locked. I hope the lesson is clear. Till here we have covered till page number 70. I hope, dear students, you are able to understand the lesson. Yes? Yes. Shall we continue? Yes, Nachiket?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall we continue, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So this way we are able to revise this much of lesson. It was 9:10 a.m. when the governor switched on the receiver. He had instructed Jackson to tell Evans the temporary little precaution. Now governor switched on the receiver. He has, in his own room, the governor has installed a system where he can pick up the receiver and he can listen to what is happening in the exam room. That was only fair, as if Evans wouldn't stop it. How on earth was Evans going to try anything on today? This was all going in. These questions were going in governor's mind, right? But wasn't it all a bit theatrical, schoolboyish almost? It's like theater, as if the drama's drills being going on to stop someone, and as if the drama between governor and the people of the prison and Evans is going on. How on earth today he is going to try to escape? What is his plan? All these questions were hovering in the mind of governor. If he was so anxious to make another break, why in heaven's name hadn't he tried it from the recreational block, which was easy for him, from where it was easy to run? Much easier, but he hadn't. And there he was now sitting in a locked cell. All the prison officers on the alert. Two more locked doors between, and two more locked doors between his cell and the yard. And a yard with a wall as high as a haystack. Yes, Evans was safe as houses. Evans was safe as houses. It was quite safe, so he was relaxed. Governor was relaxed that he cannot run now from here. Anyway, it wouldn't be any trouble at all to have the receiver turned on for the next couple of hours or so. So he kept his receiver ready anytime if he wishes to know what is happening, he can do. And this, he is the governor. He here is the governor who has set this system. It wouldn't be any trouble at all to have the receiver turned on for the next couple of hours. So 2 hours he's going to be very alert. This is the practice being done by the governor to take or to keep a check on events. Now, almost amongst the other things, an invigilator's duty was to ensure that the strictest silence was observed. He was being instructed, the governor was being instructed by the secretary of the examination, maintain strict silence in the exam cell. But still that little nagging doubt, he's still doubtful. Might Evans try to take advantage of McCleary? Get him to smuggle in a chisel or two, or a rope ladder, etc. Anything. He might trouble McCleary and run away. So all these questions were coming in his mind. Then why didn't he do something for that? The question is, every time they became doubtful, but they melted their doubt and moved further. Why weren't they alert and active and very pro-like, you know, they are saying that they will be watching him like a hawk, but they are not doing that. The ironical part is, whatever these prison authorities have been showing, they were not doing it, right? So, what if quite unwittingly the innocent McCleary had brought in something himself? Again, few questions were moving in the mind of the governor. It might happen that McCleary might or carry something unusual which can be used by him, a jackknife perhaps. And what if Evans held him hostage with such a weapon? And if Evans attacked him, what will happen then? The governor reached for the phone. It was 9:12 a.m. The governor has only one thing in his hand, that he picks up the receiver and listens what is going on. So he picked up the phone and tried to listen at 9:12 what is going on. The examinee and the invigilator had already been introduced by Stephens and Jackson, came back and shouted to McCleary through the cell door. Can you come outside a minute, sir? You too, Stephens. Examinee and the invigilator had already been introduced by Stephens when Jackson came back and shouted at McCleary through the cell door. Can you come outside a minute, sir? You too, Stephens. Jackson quickly explained the governor's worries. What were governor's worries? That McCleary might carry something unusual which may prove very fatal, which can be used if it is used by this Evans the break, he can again escape from the jail. Jackson immediately quickly explained the worries, anxiety of the governor, and McCleary patiently held out his arms at shoulder level while Jackson lightly frisked his clothes. Something hard here. Now McCleary is being checked that if by mistake he has carried something. My reading glasses, replied McCleary. Something hard got touched by this officer Jackson. Looking down at the spectacle case, Jackson quickly reassured him and bending down on the landing, thumb flicked the catches on the suitcase. And when he went down checking him, he found a small suitcase. He picked up each envelope in turn, carefully passed his palms along the surfaces of the envelopes and seemed satisfied. So McCleary has been checked on the keeping the worries of the governor in mind. Now, how much care these prison people are taking so that nothing happens in the prison. Nothing happens here is a happening that may take place that Evans runs again. They are taking all the care. He riffled cursorily through a few pages of Holy Writ and vaguely shook the church times. Now the newspaper, the book, all have been taken care, checked. All right so far, but one of the objects in McCleary's suitcase was puzzling him sorely. One one object was there which was troubling this officer. Do you mind telling me why have you brought this, sir? He held up a smallish, semi-inflated rubber ring. There was a small rubber ring such as a young child with a waist of about 12 inches might have struggled into. A very small in which a child can enter. A small size rubber ring which if you make a child put on his waist, he can fit into. Are you thinking of going for a swim, sir? McCleary, hitherto amiable demeanor was slightly ruffled by this tasteless little pleasantry. You can underline, if you find this line difficult, children, you can understand this, that McCleary's amiable behavior, the way of his polite talking and behaving was slightly ruffled by this tasteless way of talking by Mr. Jackson. And he answered Jackson somewhat sourly. He answered in a little rash way. If you must know, I suffer from hemorrhoids, and when I'm sitting down for a length of time, I keep this ring and I sit on it and feel even he wanted to explain this, that I suffer from hemorrhoids and I can't sit for a longer period. Very sorry, sir, I didn't mean. So here the point is, dear students, that these people could have taken care. Why did not they take care of these small, small things? Why did they allow McCleary to keep this ring? If he gave an excuse or a reason, even it could have been intervened. Or they could have intervened into this situation. Very sorry, sir, I didn't mean to. And the embarrassment was still reddening Jackson's cheeks when he found the paper knife. Now he found a paper knife at the bottom of that small suitcase which McCleary had carried. I think I would better keep this though, if you don't mind, that is so. Now he kept the paper knife which was with all these things they are taking care. And it was 9:18 a.m. before the governor heard their voices again, and it was clear that the examination was going to be more than a little late in getting underway. Now McCleary and Evans are talking, and this is being heard by the governor. The governor heard their voices again at 9:18. You have got a watch. Yes, sir. I'll be telling you when to start and again when you have 5 minutes left. All right, silence. So all this conversation is being heard, is being listened by, or you can say governor is keeping a watch on these conversations. He's picking his receiver and listening to the conversation. Now, write the name of the paper 021 one in the top left hand corner. So invigilator is guiding the examinee to write on the top, as we are guided by the examiners in the exam halls, and invigilators write roll numbers, write the credentials, details, dates and all. In the top right hand corner, write your index number 313, and in the box just below that, write your center number 271. All right, so all these things, dear students, are being shared. All these things are being shared by the invigilator, and governor is watching a check on these things. We'll continue the concluding part and a little more which is left into tomorrow's class, right? Thank you. You can keep your queries ready. You can ask the queries also in the next class if you have any, right? Thank you, dear students.